Okay, and now I'll be admitting people.
And good afternoon, and thanks for attending today's webinar on transitioning to retirement. We'll give everyone a few minutes to join the webinar and we'll commence shortly. Excellent. Thanks for that. My name's Clive Joss, and I'm a member account specialist with Brighter Super. A main part of my role is to guide our valued members towards a comfortable retirement by giving them a better understanding of what they can do with their superannuation. By the end of the webinar, we'll aim to give you some of the tools to get you on track for an ideal retirement. I'll be asking you some questions as we go through the webinar to help you get a better understanding of the content. Brighter Super acknowledges the traditional owners of the lands on which we're meeting and pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. We acknowledge and celebrate the continuation of a living culture that has a unique role in this region. It is important to understand that the information and examples contained in the presentation are general in nature and have been prepared without taking into account your individual objectives, financial situation, or needs. It's also important when making decisions about your super options that you obtain the relevant product disclosure statement and target market determination and consider your own personal circumstances. You can access these documents and the Financial Services Guide from the Brighter Super website. Today's presentation will run for approximately 45 minutes. Many of you have submitted questions already, which we have tried to incorporate into the presentation. You can also post questions in the Q&A feature during our presentation today, which we will aim to answer directly. We have Michelle Seguera standing by as a moderator today. Michelle is regularly out in the field providing super health checks to members in different regions across Queensland. I invite Michelle to come on screen and say a quick hello.
Hi there, everybody. Looking forward to working with you, Clive, and answering those questions for all our members that have joined us.
Excellent. Thanks, Michelle. Really appreciate that. We should have time for questions at the end of the day, and we will try to answer as many as possible. I'm also joined today by one of our financial advisors, Gabby Williams, who will be presenting a little bit later on. We will be running some poll questions throughout today's presentation. When the question pops up on your screen, please just click an answer that's appropriate to you. Before we move into our main subject, I would like to take the opportunity to briefly explain who we are, as we have a number of non-members joining us today. The merger between LGA IA Super and Energy Super, plus the acquisition of Suncorp Super, has enabled us to increase our size and scale, yet we remain committed to investing in the personalised member services that you know and enjoy. We serve over 230,000 members with over $32 billion in funds under management, and we received double-digit returns for the balanced accumulation and balanced pension options for the year to the 30th of June 2024. Now, let's talk retirement planning. One of the most common questions around retirement planning is, how much may you need in retirement? If you're not sure how much you may need, the ASFA retirement standards is one guide to start with. The Association of Superannuation Funds of Australia, ASFA, regularly surveys retirees who have paid off their mortgage and are aged over 65 and they ask them what they're spending their money on. From the research, they've identified two types of lifestyles in retirement: modest and a comfortable. For retirees living a modest lifestyle, it's probably going to be fairly conservative. Based on ASFA's research, they've defined a modest lifestyle which may include the following: takeaway from an occasional cheap restaurant, infrequent domestic short breaks, a basic private healthcare insurance, owning a cheaper, more basic car. It's unlikely there would be money to travel overseas, and social activities would be much closer to home. Take a minute to think about how much you're currently spending on your own lifestyle and how it compares to the above. These figures are updated on a quarterly basis. So what does a comfortable lifestyle look like? Most members that I assist are looking towards a lifestyle with a few more options. Based on ASFA's research, they defined a comfortable lifestyle, which may include some of the following: as an annual domestic and occasional overseas travel every 7 years or so, social activities including eating out 2 to 3 times a week, maintaining a vehicle and a home, mid-level private medical insurance. Again, take a moment to think about what type of retirement lifestyle you're aiming for. Remember, it's not always about how much money you have, it's how you manage it, which is why early action is vital. The good news is you can choose to retire whenever it suits you. There are, however, rules as to when you may access your superannuation. To access your super, you must have reached preservation age, which is between 55 and 60, depending on your date of birth. We'll take a closer look at this shortly. You can usually access your super as a lump sum, or as a pension, or as a combination of these when you A, reach retirement age 60 and then stop work or change jobs, or you permanently retire after reaching your preservation age, or you turn 65, whether you're working or not. The amount of tax you pay depends on your age at the time you withdraw your money from super, the type of contributions paid in, pre or post-tax, the amount being paid out, and whether you are taking it as a lump sum or as a pension. Now, on to that first poll question. Do you know what your preservation age is? Yes or no? Excellent. No problem if you did not know the answer. Shortly, we will confirm that for you. Generally, your super is tax-free when paid to you after you turn age 60. Let's have a look at when you may be able to access your super. Referring back to the poll question, the information on your screen is called your preservation age, and it is set by the Australian government and is based on your date of birth. Take a moment, have a look at the screen and confirm your preservation age. Remember, there are two parts to accessing your super. Firstly, you must have reached your preservation age, which is between 55 to 60. Secondly, you need to have met a condition of release. So let's take a closer look at these. As super is primarily designed to give you income in retirement, there are specific rules to when you can access your money. These are permanent retirement. You finished work and don't intend to return to work in the future. Or you could cease employment on or after 60. You can also access your funds from 60 onwards if you leave your employer and go to another job, full-time, part-time, or casual. Turning 65, upon your 65, you've got full access to your super, regardless if you're working or not. Please note that, however, that this does not apply to defined benefit accounts. Once you've reached preservation age, you have the option of setting up a transition to retirement income stream. However, if you have a defined benefit account, it's worth having a chat to us, as certain conditions may apply. This allows you to use your super to supplement your income, reduce the amount of time you work, or as a tax minimization strategy. We'll go into this a little bit more later. So how much tax are you likely to pay? There are two main tax components within your super, taxable and tax-free. Withdrawals from super come out of these tax components proportionately. The tax-free component is always tax-free, as tax has already been paid. The taxable component may be taxed and depends on your age when you make the withdrawal. If you take out a lump sum payment between preservation age and 59, it is tax-free for the first $245,000, with amounts over $245,000 taxed at 17%, which does include the Medicare levy. If you choose to open an income stream, also known as a pension account, between your preservation age and age 59, then regular payments are taxed at your marginal tax rate with a 15% offset. Once you do reach 60, withdrawals from both components are tax-free. It's important to note that both the tax and tax-free components still exist when over 60, and there can be potential tax impacts on your death benefit, regardless of your age. When in an accumulation stage and a transition to a retirement pension product, investment earnings can be taxed up to 15%. When you open an income stream pension account, tax on your investment earnings are tax-free. It can get complex, which is why it's often a good idea to seek financial advice before proceeding to make sure this is right for you. So what is transition to retirement? Income stream products within Brighter Super are called pension accounts, designed to give you an income in retirement. Let's have a look at how a transition to retirement pension account, also known as a TTR, works in more detail. As you're still working, your employer continues to put money into your accumulation account. Members can open a transition to retirement pension account when they have met their preservation age, but not met a full condition of release. By doing this, it is important to remember that if you are below the age of 60, there may be tax payable on the income you receive. Many members choose to set up a TTR once they reach 60, as income from super is tax-free. A transition to retirement pension account can supplement your income leading up to retirement or help you reduce the amount of tax you pay while increasing your retirement savings. You could use a transition to retirement pension account to work less. TTR could help you to cut back your work hours or take a lower paying job. You can receive regular pension payments to supplement the income you've lost by working less. You could also reduce tax and increase your super. If you're aged 60 or over, you can receive tax-free income from a transition to retirement pension account. At the same time, you can salary sacrifice some of your salary into your accumulation account, subject to the concessional contributions cap, where it will be taxed at 15% on entry to the fund. So you could effectively pay 15% tax on the portion of your salary that you contribute to super, rather than the tax rate you currently pay when you receive this money as salary. The strategy can also be used if you have reached preservation age but are still under age 60, though some tax may be payable on your pension income. Reduce debt. By receiving additional income from a TTR without changing jobs or increasing your work hours. Estate planning at last option. A TTR can assist with future estate planning needs. And remember, If you decide to access your super prior to retirement, you need to consider the impact that this will have on your future superannuation balance and retirement lifestyle. We recommend talking to a financial advisor to ensure this will meet your personal objectives both now and in the future. Let's have a look at how you set up a TTR pension account. You need a minimum of $20,000 to start a Brighter Super TTR pension. You can choose from a range of investment options, ranging from lower to higher risk. There are also single asset class and diversified investment options. Next, you decide how you'd like to receive your income. It's currently a minimum of 4% and a maximum of 10% of your transition to retirement account balance, recalculated each 1st of July. Payments can be made fortnightly, monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, or annually, based on your needs. If you are still working and your employer is still making contributions on your behalf, you may be required to retain your accumulation account. If you are retaining your accumulation account, you must leave the required minimum balance in your accumulation account, which is currently $8,000. Once you let us know you've stopped working or you turn 65 and have therefore met a full condition of release, your account will become a full pension account and upper withdrawal limits will no longer apply. For defined benefit members, it is a bit more complex. Talk to one of the Brighter Super team through a Super Health Check if you'd like to know some more information. You will be given this opportunity at the end of today's presentation and in a follow-up email in the coming days. Let's have a look at how a TTR income stream may work for a member. Shane's 60 years old and is looking to ease his way into retirement. He's spoken to his employer and is looking to reduce his working hours to 3 days a week. Shane also needs to maintain a similar level of income that he currently has. Shane gets financial advice and decides to set up a TTR pension, which will allow him to draw tax-free income as he is over 60. Generally speaking, Shane may be able to maintain a similar level of after-tax income while also being able to reduce his working hours. Remember, everyone's situation is different, so we recommend to seek financial advice on what's best for you. So what about when you're ready to start your own retirement? What then? If you are considering retirement, a pension account may be an option for you. People retire at different ages for different reasons. Some leave the paid workforce early due to ill health or because they have the money to do so, while others continue to work long after they can access their super. Once you've reached preservation age and met a condition of release, you've got the option to access your super as a lump sum, pension, or combination of these methods. Let's have a look at how the pension account works in more detail. If you would like a regular income and want an investment that provides tax-free investment earnings, then the pension account gives you the flexibility to choose how much income you want and how often you would like to receive it. It is important to remember that a pension account may be used if you have met your preservation age, plus a condition of release, or turned 65 and still working. Let's go through some of the reasons members open a pension account. This could be a member who is fully retired and wishes to now receive a regular income from their super. This also allows members to access lump sums to pay down debt, renovations, or that holiday that they've always dreamed of. Alternatively, you could have opened a pension account and gone back into the workforce. In this scenario, you may wish to retain your pension account, which pays you a regular income and has tax-free earnings. You can still use the extra income to assist with your living expenses and continue to draw lump sums whilst receiving a salary and superannuation guarantee payments from your employer into an accumulation account. Members who've reached 65 and are still working can also access a pension account to access tax-free regular income, lump sums, and enjoy tax-free earnings on investments. To summarize the diagram, you can see you could be receiving income from both an employer and your pension account, along with superannuation guarantee contributions from your employer. It's also important to note that you can close a pension account and roll this back into your accumulation account should you not require the income from your pension account if your circumstances have changed. Like the transition to retirement product, if you're in a defined benefit, it can be a little more complex. Have a chat to us today to get some more information. Now let's look at the process of setting up your pension account. For many members, a superannuation income stream is a convenient and tax-effective way to access their money. Remember, you must have reached your preservation age and met a condition of release to access your super. To set up a pension account, step 1, set up your pension with a minimum of $20,000. With the current maximum transfer balance cap of $1.9 million as at the 1st of July 2024. Next step, decide how much you want to invest, how you want to invest your pension. You can change your investment strategy at any time. Step 3, select the amount you wish to receive each year. The amount needs to meet or exceed the minimum drawdown amount, which is recalculated each year on the 1st of July. Step 4, select the frequency of your payments. You've got full access to super once you've retired. If you move your money into an income stream, you must take out a certain amount each financial year. Now, let's have a look at the minimum amount you need to withdraw each year. You are required to withdraw a minimum amount each year, and this increases over time as you age. The minimum depends on your age, as you can see on the slide. For example, if a member was to establish an income stream with $100,000 at age 63, they must withdraw at least $4,000 each financial year. This minimum is recalculated each financial year on the balance of the 1st of July. Once established, a member may not add contributions under federal government rules. Once meeting a condition of release, partial withdrawals may be made from an income stream at any time. Apart from the convenience of an income stream, there are also tax concessions that may apply. Let's recap the ways in which you may access your super when eligible. There are 3 account type options when considering moving into retirement. Retain your current accumulation account. You've got investment options to choose from, can make withdrawals, and also contribute subject to contribution rules. There are tax concessions on preservation age prior to 60 and no tax on withdrawals after age 60. Investment earnings can be taxed up to 15%. Transition to retirement. Access your super as an income stream while still working. You've got investment options to choose from, and you must withdraw a minimum of 4% to a maximum of 10%. You cannot make a lump sum withdrawal until you meet a full condition of release. Investment earnings are taxed up to 15%. Pension account. Upon meeting conditions of release, including preservation age or after age 65, you can draw income as a pension account. A minimum withdrawal is required annually, which is based on your age, and there is no maximum. You are able to withdraw a lump sum amount and enjoy tax-free investment earnings. You can choose which options or combination of options best suit your retirement. Personal advice can assist in helping your super last the distance. Brighter Super offers personal advice services to members. More details about this shortly. For more information on transition to retirement and pension products, please visit our website. Under Resources, you will find a section on forms and info sheets, where there is more information on both transition to retirement pension account and considering retirement info sheet. You may also find other useful documents here. Additionally, our product disclosure statement is a good place to find further detail about pension accounts. I'd now like to hand over to one of the financial advisors, Gabby. Gabby will be taking you through some of the tools and calculators that we have available to help you to assist you in making decisions about your super. Thanks, Gabby. If you could take it away.
Thanks, Clive. I'm going to start off by talking a little bit about choosing which investment option, because you notice that that's one of the things that you have to address if you're setting up a pension account or a transition to retirement pension. So obviously the number one question that people ask me when I'm talking to them about investment choice is, what is the best way to invest my super? But as you could probably imagine, there's not going to be one answer that's right for everyone. In fact, there's a number of different things to consider when you're choosing the right risk profile for you. So what's a risk profile? A risk profile is an individual measure of how you feel about risk and return, keeping in mind that there's always a trade-off between these two. It should take into account your tolerance to market falls, as well as your investment time frame and your desired return outcomes. So in a perfect world, we'd all love high returns without any drops, but in reality, there's always a bit of a trade-off. So generally speaking, the more risk you take on, the better return you would expect over the long term. However, the greater chance of bigger swings in your investment value. So for example, an aggressive investment is expected to generate a higher rate of return over the long term, but it's going to fluctuate more during times of market volatility. What this means is that your investments may generate higher returns over time. However, they will generally lose more when the market dips, and they will produce more frequent negative return years. On the other hand, a more conservative investment option is likely to have fewer negative return years overall and may not drop as far as an aggressive investment during a downturn. But the trade-off for less downside risk is that the returns are expected to be lower over the long term. Understanding your personal risk profile and your investment risk is important to help you better prepare for market movements and make informed decisions. The risk of being invested outside your risk profile is, on the one hand, if you're invested too conservatively, maybe you're missing out on potential returns that you could have. If you invest too aggressively, you may see greater falls during market instability than you're comfortable with, and both of these scenarios aren't going to result in the optimal outcome for you. So it's important to know where you sit. As a bit of a starting point, you can find the investment risk profiler on the Brighter Super website under the Resources tab. It's 8 questions long. They ask you how you feel about negative returns, what action you may take given market instability, and what your superannuation goals are. After answering each question, it will then provide you with your results and some information about the type of investor you are based on your responses. I would just encourage you, when you're answering the questions, consider the bigger picture. Oh, we're all the same. When someone asks us how we feel about negative return, of course, we don't like it. We don't want to see any negative return on our super. However, understanding and knowing about your investment time frame can be really relevant with these questions. For example, if you're in your 40s and you know that you're still 20 years away from being able to even access your superannuation, a negative return may feel very different from someone who's in their 60s and thinking about retiring now or in the next year or two. However, it's also important to note that even if you are close to retirement, your investment time frame may be longer than you think. Retirement isn't necessarily a line in the sand where you're no longer invested in super. As you can see from Clive's bit of the presentation, you may choose to keep your money in super or move it into a pension account. And in that pension account, it's still invested. And we're hoping that this money can help you fund your retirement for the next 20 or 30 years. So you can see how long your investment time frame can really be. Once you've completed the risk profiler questionnaire, you'll be provided with information around your profile, and that helps you to make an investment choice. It is important to note, however, that it doesn't provide you with a recommendation on where to invest your superannuation. It just gives you information to help you make that choice. If you wish to receive some help on finding the best investment for you, you can book an appointment with one of our intra-fund advisors. This type of advice is included in your fund membership, and the initial conversation is usually done over the phone, probably takes about 20 to 40 minutes. The advisor will do the same kind of process with you. So they're going to ask you a series of questions to determine your risk profile. But what can be helpful is that they will tailor it to you and they can answer any specific questions you may have about your scenario. I don't know about you, but it's always nice to have that chat with a human being. Importantly, at the end, they will also make a recommendation as to where to invest your superannuation based on the results of that risk profile. And they provide you with a statement of advice. So you have a written resource to refer to that explains about your risk profile and the investment mix that's being recommended, as well as any changes to the investment fees as a result of the advice. This is a great opportunity to move on to our next poll question. So just wanted to find out how many of you have used our investment advice service before? Well, it looks like it's a little bit of a mixed bag. Probably about half of you have used the advice service. So half of you yet to get in contact with us and chat about your investment choice. For those who may not know, we do offer a range of personal advice options suited to individual members' needs. So if you're looking for specific information about single issue topics such as making a contribution or how to invest your superannuation, our intra-fund advice team can help, and this is at no additional cost as it's included in the administration fee that you pay for Brighter Super. We also do offer a more comprehensive personal advice service, which we'll discuss in a bit more detail later in the presentation. We also have a tool on the website that can help you to model your retirement and how you're tracking towards your retirement goal. As with all modeling tools, it is based on a number of assumptions that may change over time. So, take it with a grain of salt. However, it does help to provide a bit of an estimate on how you're tracking and what may be achievable. Depending on what your level of assets are and how much you feel you need to fund your desired retirement lifestyle, you may only need to invest your funds in investments with a lower level of risk. On the other hand, you may be the opposite and need to reevaluate your financial position, goals, or risk tolerance in order to meet your goals. For most of us, we're going to need to take on some risk to hit our long-term goals because we want those better long-term returns. And the retirement income calculator can give you some idea of where you are. There is an option to toggle between both your pre-retirement and post-retirement investment options. So if you click on the little cog there, you can play around with the options and see what kind of difference it would make to your retirement income if you were to invest a bit more aggressively or a bit more conservatively. If you're getting close to retirement, particularly if you're already over the age of 60, it may be worth getting in touch with a financial advisor to discuss pre-retirement strategies that might assist you in meeting your retirement goals. We can then tailor your investments to your own individual situation to ensure you're taking the right steps to finding that balance between risk and return. There are two types of advice that may be beneficial to you. Scaled advice is personal financial advice about your retirement within Brighter Super. Fees will vary depending on the type and complexity of personal advice you require, and you may be able to deduct a portion of the fees from your Brighter Super account. Topics include retirement, such as adequacy and commencing a Brighter Super account-based pension, a transition to retirement, and determining Centrelink entitlements. And these appointments are usually delivered over the phone or digitally. Another type of advice we offer is comprehensive advice. This provides advice to both members and non-members about superannuation and retirement strategies, both with Brighter Super and other superannuation funds. So now we can start to take your partner's situation into account as well. Advice can also be provided on external investments outside of super. And this type of advice is usually most helpful when you've reached a milestone birthday like 60, 65, or age pension age, or if you're starting to think seriously about retirement. For both scaled advice and comprehensive advice, there is an advice fee charged, which you may be able to deduct from your Brighter Super account, and I'll discuss this a bit later on. For further information on our advice services and what may suit you, you can visit the advice tab on our website. I'll now hand back to Clive.
Thanks, Gabby. Many wise words and certainly worth listening to and taking them on board. To achieve your goal of a comfortable retirement, there's some simple steps to take from here. Think about what you're looking to achieve, and it all starts with a plan. Firstly, what are you looking to achieve and what is your goal? The purpose of a superannuation is to give you income in retirement. In other words, how will a transition to retirement help you get there? Also, next, understand the tax considerations. If you're looking to set up a pension at or after 60, it's pretty simple in relation to tax on withdrawals. But what about salary sacrifice or estate planning considerations? This is where personal advice can be invaluable. Thirdly, by accessing your super now, will you be better off or worse off in retirement? This depends on your personal circumstances and what your objectives are. And this brings up step 4. Seek further help as needed. To ensure you're on track, contact us and book in for a super health check or arrange an appointment with one of our financial advisors. There's a number of services available to members. What makes Brighter Super different to other superannuation funds? It's our commitment to personal service. We have a dedicated team of member account specialists here to support you. If you would like to talk to one of our staff, one-on-one, for more general information about your superannuation, why not book in for a super health check? These are 15-minute meetings at no additional cost and cover a range of general topics about your super. Our team service members from all over Queensland, face-to-face, and also using digital channels, so you can get some general guidance on a range of superannuation topics, no matter where you live or work. And once you've got the general knowledge, the next step is to get tailored personal advice. I'd like to hand you back to Gabby to speak about our advice offering.
Thanks, Clive. So up there on that slide, you should be able to see the 4 main different types of advice that we offer. And it just depends on what suits you and what you need at the time. If you're looking for specific information on making contributions, how to invest your superannuation or your insurance cover within Brighter Super, our intra-fund advice team can help. For that one, you book in for an over-the-phone meeting with a financial advisor at no additional cost. The second option is a retirement health check. So this is to answer the 2 most common questions that members ask as they approach retirement. How much super do I need to retire, and do I have enough? So a retirement health check is done with a financial advisor as well, usually over the phone or over Zoom or Teams, and that will give you a projection of how you're tracking to your retirement. We also offer both scaled advice and comprehensive advice. Scaled advice will be for a more simple type of plan, so looking at retirement and the adequacy of your superannuation, setting up an account-based pension at retirement, or a transition to retirement pension, and also looking at what kind of Centrelink entitlements you can expect. Again, that type of advice would be offered over the phone or digitally. If you have a partner that you'd like to bring into advice, or you've got investments outside of super, or if you just think that your needs are a little bit more complex, then comprehensive advice might be the way to go. This is usually done as a face-to-face meeting by one of our advice team in Brisbane or in some of the various regions across Queensland, but we can also do those digitally if that's more convenient. This will take into account a lot more of your personal circumstances, and the cost just depends on how complex it is. And again, you can pay for most, if not all, of that advice, usually from your Brighter Super account. If you're not sure what type you need, talk to one of our representatives. If you have a super health check, they'll try and point you in the right direction. And if you book the wrong type of appointment, we can always move you around. That's no problem at all. So it's never too early to start planning for retirement. So have a chat to us and find out how we can help. Thanks. I'll hand back to Clive.
Thanks, Gabby, again for that. Webinars like this one are a great way to get specific information on a variety of topics. This is not the only webinar that Brighter Super will be holding. Go to our website or scan the QR code on the screen to find out what is coming up. Make sure you check this page regularly, as we are often adding new dates and topics. If you register for any webinars, regardless if you attend, you will receive a copy of the recording the day following the webinar. On the previous 2 slides, we discussed our range of advice services. These cover our super health checks and intra-fund advice, both of which are at no additional cost to our members. To other types of advice, such as a retirement health checks, scaled and comprehensive advice, there is a fee for service. Well, our next poll question for you is, after today's webinar, are you planning to get advice? Excellent. In our experience, generally, we find members who take advice have better outcomes. I've covered a lot of ground today. Remember, you can visit the resources tab, then forms and info sheets on our website for more information on the different forms we have discussed today and handy information sheets. We've tried to answer questions throughout the webinar today, but I'll invite Gabby and Michelle to come on screen to answer any questions we couldn't quite get to in the Q&A chat.
Thank you, Clive. Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, during the Q&A, we'll display the Super Health Check slide to give you all additional time should you wish to book in for an appointment. There you go. Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Clive. Very interesting and a lot of good information there. We've got a couple of minutes left, and before we start the Q&A, and I just wanted to give another general advice warning, and it's important to understand that similar to the webinar itself, the information examples in the Q&A, we've had lots of questions coming through on the site. I've been busy. They're all in general in nature and have been prepared without taking your account into individual objectives, financial situations and needs. Gabby, one of the questions that I just have had come through was in regards to wanting to convert super taxable components to non-taxable. The question is, how much can I withdraw and deposit back into super each year? And is this possible to do in accumulation and pension accounts?
Well, first off, one of the important things to consider is that you can't contribute into a pension account once you set one up. So if you want to be making contributions to superannuation, you do need to have an accumulation account. I think Clive ran through the requirements for accessing your superannuation. So, just consider what your working status is, how old you are, what tax you're likely to pay on any withdrawals before you take money out of super. When it comes to putting money back in, there's 2 caps. So just consider your concessional cap and your non-concessional cap, depending on what type of contribution you want to make. So your concessional cap is any before tax dollars that you put in. It'll include what your employer is putting in on your behalf, any salary sacrifice you may make, any tax deductible contributions you may make as well. But on top of that, you do also have a non-concessional contribution cap of $120,000 per year and the ability to do 3 years worth in one go. So I guess it's worth considering whether that is something that you can use.
Thank you, Gabby. Just in the instance of time, most of the questions that we had that came through before the presentation have been answered in Clive's presentation. So thank you for that, Clive. I will hand back to you now, just so that we can wrap up.
Thanks, Michelle and Gary. Appreciate that. And thanks again to you all for coming along and taking the time to attend our webinar. One last question before we bring things to a close. Overall, how satisfied were you with today's webinar? Thank you very much for attending today's webinar, and we hope to see you and speak with you soon. So please reach out and contact us.